Hey, everybody. Welcome to She Can't Do That. Today we have part 2 of Louisette's story.
We heard her story. We know what happened. We're going to talk about the case. Then we talk about the musical she made out of all of it,
I love that.
which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And we talk about the LA fires because she was affected by that pretty intensely. So she has a lot more to talk about. Let's do it.
Let's go. I wanted to ask, when this happened in 2008, where were you in your life? Were you married? Like, how did you also process the trauma? Because you were staying in the same hotel with this person, this monster.
Right. No, at the time I was single, I was dating, so yeah, the irony is I was dating somebody and that's why I was staying in the room, in the another room with them, who's in the movie business. But that's why I was like, screw you, Weinstein. Like I was clearly not there to shtup you.
Yeah.
And I just have never been that girl anyway, I just never was. So I was like, that was so irritating when he would say like, oh yeah, that we all wanted him. I mean,
Oh, sure. Have you looked in the mirror?
yeah, no, I know. But I mean, that's the thing though, even with my musical, we made the lead bad guy. We prefer him to be attractive because just, it's interesting, like when you see people who've done wrong and people can glob on to whether the visual matches the internal matches the external, if you will. But as we all know, it happens when it doesn't match either. And you can have somebody very handsome, as we all know, there's many of them who are famous now who are getting taken down, but that did really heinous things. But no, so I was dating. I was single.
Did you tell your partner when you came back
No.
to the hotel room? No.
No. I did. That's an interesting question. I did during the court case because I was like, I had to call him. I hadn't talked to him for a long time. And he's a nice guy. And I just said, listen, that happened actually when I came back to the room,
Well, what was his
And I said,
reaction?
I just want you to know because if you're going to need to corroborate that I, did come back and all these other things, and that I was there and all that jazz. But no, he just was like, I'm so sorry. It just, just there. I mean, I didn't feel sick. I wasn't like, hadn't been dating him long enough to tell him. It was like, and it was, as we all go through this, it was like weird. I mean, he was already asleep, like nothing, I just like got into bed and was upset, but no, I mean, as you probably know, a lot of people who go through these things, it takes a while to really kind of communicate about it. But I did immediately tell even that day, like the next day, because it was, of course, late by the time I got out of that damn room. I did tell my sister. I told one of my friends who was also my lawyer for just at the company. She represented my music company. So I did tell people immediately.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, but, and then I told my therapist at the time, who's sadly no longer with us, but she's the only person who told me to go to the cops. And I said to her, I was like, I can, but like, no one's ever going to do anything. Like, I really felt like no one was going to do anything. So, and again, like, it wasn't like I was on a project. It's not like I was, working for the Weinstein Company and then he did this. So like, there is no one to tell. I'm a solo practitioner.
Now we're at the point where a lot of women spoke out. A lot of them came together. And what happened then?
I mean,
after this article came out.
Yeah, after the article came out, I had a lot of people, because I had spoken about my story to so many people. So like those people who knew me, like knew people who worked at 60 Minutes and knew people who worked at, and so all of a sudden I'm getting like barrage. And you have to imagine too, like I remember I was like sitting at my old house, like breastfeeding my baby.
Right. You had just had your baby.
And like talking with
That's the last thing you want.
Oh God, last thing.
Yeah.
Last thing. And then, because of course I didn't know, like, it just didn't know it was all going to come to fruition and come out then. And who's now my ex-husband, but we were sitting there and he goes, everyone's scared of Gloria Allred. Why don't you just call Gloria Allred to represent you?
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, all right. I mean, that was like, such a big ask, I thought. And
Yeah.
I said, all right. So I just got online and I called her and she called me back the next day. And I remember like being in my kitchen with my phone, being like, it's Gloria Allred on the phone. Like,
Oh
who
my
thought she would
gosh.
actually call me?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Anyways, but she did. And, that was its own challenge because at the time, she said, she's very clear, like she would not represent me if Weinstein came after me. That was very difficult. So that was a very big decision on my and David, my ex-husband. That was huge for us because we had some properties and it was like, oh my God, if he comes after us for just speaking my truth,
Mm-hmm.
trying to stop him. Because again, I don't know if you remember, but like a lot of times people didn't want to use their name and then they were kind of trying to figure out like, oh, is this just like this whole thing? Oh, they just want his money, blah, blah, blah. But the
But
more
wait a
that came
second,
out,
like, what does it mean come after you? I mean, he, of course, if you
Like
sue
sue for
him,
defamation.
of course he's going to come after you.
He's
Isn't
gonna
that
wanna
like, isn't that the normal reaction that we're expecting from him?
that was my biggest worry. But
Yeah.
because, I mean, then that is why coming forward for me, and I can't speak for other people, was so much of a big decision and such a family decision. Because we knew that we could possibly lose everything. But at the time, people kind of really weren't wanting to come forward. And I was like, you know what? I'm out of the movie business. Like I moved into a new career and I thought at least, I just was so upset that he was still doing this to other women. And so I thought I just had these babies. I had Delaney with no epidural because she came so quick and fast, and that was so painful. And I felt like I, knocked on heaven's door. That I was like, you know what? That's it. I mean, it really is just like, that is it. And so we, I mean, I had no idea that it was going to be that big of a deal. I thought maybe it would be like last a week, but I just simply wanted to tell my story as well. I think partly from the cathartic part of it, but also again, because I wanted people to know like these other women are not lying. Nobody wants their money. Like it's not a money grab here.
Right.
This is just about stopping a predator. I mean, how do we all not get that? I don't understand. But okay, for those of you questioning it, we just wanted to stop a predator. And in particular for me, I knew he was probably still doing it because he was so, again, he was very prolific. And so that was my goal, was to just speak my truth. Hopefully I could help let other people know and it would stop, women from getting hurt. That was really like my goal and my only intention. And then from there it grew into, yes, I did this huge, which I didn't even know it was going to be huge, but there were so many cameras there. It was crazy. And again, I had just like this little baby in the other room and like Dave came and Tegan and Delaney, and I have, pictures with Gloria and my little baby. This is like,
Was this a press conference?
Yeah, so it was a press conference. Yeah. And then they were in the other room. And then, we did that. And from that, it was like a tsunami of press. We got so, and even Gloria said like she's never seen anything like it just because. And so I did a lot of interviews. And again, I was like, you know what? I'm just thinking it's like 1 week. I can do 1 week. But I mean, I'm there with like the breast pump. Like it was a whole shebang. I had no clothes because I had just had a baby. So as we all know, your body's totally different. Like these are the things too that were so challenging. It's like I went and I had to buy clothes, and then you're on 60 Minutes. Like you got to wear something nice. Like what the hell. I didn't like, it was a money challenge for me. I mean, I felt like not in my body because I had 6 weeks previous given birth.
I didn't even want to take photos of myself or the family when I was 6 weeks postpartum. Like I would have not wanted to be on a national TV documentary show, whatever it's called. It's like, that's seriously the last thing you want to deal with at that moment.
It's like the worst story too. But I mean, again, the intention was, that's it, man. I was just, I don't know if like I got this like after having my second baby, and like really feeling like I almost died, I just felt like, you know what? I have got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do something, and I can't stand by idly. And it's not like I stood by idly before, but no one would do anything. I just felt like at that time, people were more open to listening.
Mm-hmm.
And then like literally a day or two after that was when the Me Too movement hit,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, and I remember it distinctly. Like I was like, oh my gosh, you know? But listen, I think that is why so many women were just like, it was our that's it moment. You know, we were just so sick and tired of being abused and pushed aside and harassed and then told to shut up and or we're going to come for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
mean,
what?
Rose McGowan had been talking about it for a long time, but Lord knows they attacked the hell out of her. I mean, these are the things. It's like when you're just one woman, it's so scary. And then they do all these things to like say, oh, you know, she's a hooker, or, you know, like poor Ambra. I'm like, oh my God. And that was a lot for her to do. You know, I mean, and put a wire, it will be wired and anyways. So then, I mean, these,
What
you know, we
happened?
kind of
Yeah.
rallied.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I mean, Gloria talked about like getting some money for all the victims, and you know that seemed to really kind of peter out. And then I had heard about a class action going on, and you have to imagine too, like there was no. I mean, he was still running around, Harvey, and he was, you know, saying, "Come on, guys, where we all make mistakes," or he said. My other favorite was, "This is such a good story. I should buy the rights to, you know."
Oh
It's
my
like it was like
gosh.
just
What?
that part felt. And I'm like, yeah, it is such a good movie. And so I ended up doing something about it. But no, I just was so offended that instead of with all of the evidence, as we now know, that he wouldn't. I don't know, at least then maybe say, I'm sorry, and I'm going to like sex, you know, therapy, whatever. I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to, yeah. And I mean, you know, he'd have to be there for years to get better. I don't know, but like there was no admitting it was, these ladies. And then it really, again, to your point, it turned back on us, which is we're the horrible women, you know, stopping a creative man.
And they all just want their own fame, and they want to make their money, and like.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I had a lot of like Twitter. That's why I don't do
the fame
Twitter
you
anymore.
want.
It's like they would just be like, "You horrible, but you're just trying to take his money," and you know, and all the I don't know what I can say on this, but just horrible words to me, you know. And it's it was really debilitating. But I was like, you know what? No. So when I heard about the class action. I called the lawyer, and that was Beth Fagan, and we talked for a very long time. I remember we were driving back from like San Diego to Santa Monica, and I talked to her like most of the time. And then she asked me to be the lead plaintiff of the class action because the woman who started it did not want to. She wanted to be a Jane Doe. She didn't want anybody to know. So, and then from there. I let all the other survivors know. I said, you know, everyone can do what they want, but here's what I'm trying to do. And again, because my idea was, look, you cannot run around raping and pillaging and then taking down all these women and that we get nothing. Absolutely. Like we've lost so much. And then you guys knew. That was my issue. That the company knew because we're learning so much.
They're all guilty. They all had a hand in it and enabled it and allowed it to keep happening, even helped it keep happening.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a RICO case where you have a company in which you do an illegal activity. Our judge would not accept that. It's its own story. But we went to federal court, and it's like me and at the time, we only had, I think, like 6 or 7 women. It ended up being like 55 women at the end that we helped get paid something through the bankruptcy. But initially, it was just a small amount of us. And the directors and officers of the Weinstein Company and Weinstein, I mean, they had like 12 people. I mean, it really was a David and Goliath situation. And then we had a judge who, I mean... He was 87 years old, and my dad's 83. I love an old legal man. He said, "Oh my God, of course he was doing this, like talking about Weinstein raping us or whatever, because he's no Paul Newman. I mean, literally said that. I mean, anyone can look it up.
In the transcript.
In the transcripts.
Oh my gosh.
And
What
so,
does he mean with that?
Because he wasn't an attractive guy, so of course he had to
He had to
rape
he had
us
to
and
rape.
like use his movie business to get
okay.
women.
Got it.
And that's what you hear from a judge in the
judge.
moment, where you just did you just when you heard that did you just think like, okay,
No,
this
yeah.
is all like just collapsing in front of my
it's
eyes?
like kangaroo court.
Yeah.
We all like literally everyone laughed for a second because it was so shocking. I think
Yeah.
it was like
So ludicrous.
and then it was like the
Like, oh, he
my God,
wasn't joking?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
what?
he's not like, yeah, he's serious. Like, so, had he been a handsome guy, I mean, it was so bonkers.
This is
And then he also said, like, I mean, what is being an actress? It's a public service. And I remember my lawyer being like, no, judge.
No.
Actors are taxed. They pay taxes. It's a job. Like, what in the hell are you guys talking about? I mean, it was just so banana, and the whole thing was bananas. And then it like traipsed into the bankruptcy. And that is where we finally won because we got out of under Judge Hellerstein and moved into our new judge and during the bankruptcy. And it was really unprecedented to do this. But again, I kept up the fight because I think like just if nobody says anything, nothing's ever going to change. And, I don't care who it is, but like if somebody harmed you, I don't think, they should just get away scot-free. I'm sorry. And these women, and myself included, we had endured loss of income, a huge amount of loss of income, loss of dreams, mentally, like the therapy alone, my bill. I mean, I did a lot of therapy to make sure I was right in the head, all of these things and how it affected our families. I mean, there should be something.
How it might affect your personal life for the rest of your life.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
That's
especially
something
like
that might
end of
never
my
hear.
career. I mean, really solidly, put a pin in it. Because I just couldn't take it anymore. If you're always going to be sexually harassed while you try to go do your job or even pitch a script, for God's sakes, I mean, how are you going to survive? The fear alone was just too much. So
What was the end result of the
bankruptcy?
The whole court situation?
So, I mean, the federal court, it then translated, it moved into the bankruptcy. I have to say my federal court experience though was, I don't recommend it. And I don't, it's hard for me to believe in it because I mean, again, that case then went into COVID time. So we would have to do all of these
like Zoom
courts
hearings.
And then again, this same judge at one point said, he told us we couldn't be a class action because different things happened to us. I'm like, yeah, but pretty similar from the same guy. Then the next time we talked to him, he said, why don't you guys do a class action? I mean, it was like,
oh my God.
It was all over the place. It was really upsetting. So it was really hard to believe in anything. Yeah. And I think I credit the other, so I was the lead of the unsecured creditors committee, which I led that. And that was meaning I represented the people that weren't paid. And he was, there was like hundreds of millions of dollars that he had not paid. So to give perspective, I mean, we're talking about somebody he would owe $100,000 for doing end credits or an artist. Okay. That's a big deal to not pay someone who worked.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It could crush a family.
Of course. I just want to say that is their income. That is their money to support the family, to pay your mortgage, to pay your kids' school, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
and he just wouldn't pay. So he was an equal opportunity predator. I mean, he didn't do business, kindly, shall we say, or just normal as one should. You do a job, you get paid. End of discussion.
Yeah.
So we would have everyone from 100,000 to, a lot of money to banks that owed. And it was like, I literally would like be negotiating with like a big bank whom I can't name. I mean, it's just, so interesting. But it's like, I remember talking to this one woman. She's like, I really want to like side with you. But they would have to like push aside them getting paid first, because what we wanted was the victims to get paid actually something.
Mm-hmm.
And thus we would have to go kind of a top tier, because there wasn't a lot of money at that point, because they sold the Weinstein Company and they kind of gutted it to some degree. And so, like, you know, big shows now that are very well known that everyone would know was part of that, and then got cut away. There was a lot of things to do in order to make it happen. And it almost didn't happen. It almost didn't happen because one of the big insurers was like, nope, I don't like Harvey Weinstein. I'm never going to pay, like, even give money to pay these women. And then we had one of the women who had stage 4 breast cancer. She went after, it's a very large insurer, and she went after them. I mean, we worked on the letter. We worked on what she did. I mean, she's a genius. Love her. And that's really at the end that one insurer finally stepped down. But you have to imagine, like, it took a lot to get there. And we didn't really, I mean, we got money, but we didn't get enough. Like, nobody can, you know, I would love to have, I mean, I'm working my tail off. So there's no, you know, it was more like, hey, yeah, maybe you could pay some debt off and you know, paint your room or something. But like, it wasn't so much money where you didn't have to work.
Yeah.
But it was a good amount of money that I felt like, look, at the end of the day, the point of this is also to send a message.
Yeah, the point of this was not to make the money. It was also
like,
to get him off the streets.
Yeah, but also like my friend who had stage 4 breast cancer, you know, lives doesn't live in Los Angeles, so she was able to like put some money down and like get a home for she and her child, you know, and it's just, but it was a lot. It was a lot of work for not enough income, if you will. But again, it was more about the statement, which is, listen, predators, you want to keep doing this kind of stuff, like, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just monetarily, legally, all the things. You know, it's not okay.
No.
It is not okay.
What happened to him then?
I mean, so we got paid on that, but then the case was still going on at that time. Anyways, he's had so many cases, it's like hard to pinpoint what month was what with that. But I mean, New York, as we know, they took him down and they did put him away. But now that was just appealed and just recently. And so now he's going back in April where they're going to do a whole other case. And I just spoke to a woman literally last week who's a casting director who's, you know, going to be testifying. And it's
Is
you know,
there a possibility he's going to be back on the street?
Well, that's a great question. No, because we helped take him down here in Los Angeles. So a lot of women were involved here as well. And so I know, because I did testify on behalf of a good friend of mine who was also raped by him. And I think, you know, those are, I mean, I guess I can say it was public, but it's Jen Siebel Newsom, our governor's wife, was raped by him. She was my friend. I mean, you know, this is how prolific he was. And, you know, when you want to talk, I mean, Jen's an incredibly smart woman and very strong, but he was super scary. Super scary.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it can happen to anyone, is my point. And I did have to testify on her behalf because I was with her at one of these functions. And I mean, yeah, they came for me. But I'll tell you this, like, I then spent thousands of dollars working with a tapping therapist about calming myself down, because I was so upset to have to see him again and to have to testify. And just little things like I went to, there's a fund that was created through the Me Too movement for these kinds of things. And I said, can you give me some, or can you guys pay for the tapping therapy? Because like at the time too, it's like, you know, I make money because I work, but this is really extra. Yeah. And they said, oh, we never thought about that, doing, you know, therapy for, I'm like, really? But they did give me a free press person. I mean, it's again, so backwards that you're just like, what are you talking about? So again, like, I paid myself to make sure I was solid in how I answered. And they do try to trip you up. And it was was such a piece of work. Like, don't you think you should have been, you know, I don't know, felt so honored to, because we went to the Vanity Fair party. I went with Jen, and I'm like, listen, I don't know who got us those tickets. She knew a lot of people at the time. Like, that has nothing to do with it.
And
Like,
that doesn't give
thanks
you
for
the right to
inviting
do
us.
anything.
Exactly. Thanks for
It's like,
inviting us to an event, but you can do whatever you want to women. I'm like, get the hell out of here.
seriously.
Anyways, but I mean, I can talk calmly and strong about it now, but when you're going and you're standing, you're sitting there and they're grilling you, and I got him to look at. And of course he's
Yeah,
giving
I
you the
couldn't do
creepy
that.
eyeball. And then he would do that too when we were sitting behind him as well. Like, he would just leer at us. And even my ex-husband was like, oh my God, that guy, like, so gross. He was
And
so
he
gross.
is, I'm sorry to say that like that, but he is gross.
Yeah.
He is. I've never seen him in person live. I just know him from TV and the media and stuff. But he is a disgusting human being.
Well, I think he feels very entitled. And so, I mean, even the last day that they were reading what, how many years he would get or not.
Mm-hmm.
So he was found guilty, but the woman who spoke, I mean, she was crying. She was a dancer. Like, he really harmed her, and you could clearly see.
Yeah.
And after she sits down, so then they allot him time to speak. And he said, I helped kids in New York City, and this woman is a liar. She just wants my money. She's just she's being a good actress. Well, first of all, she was a dancer. If anyone knows anything about anything, like, it doesn't mean just because you're a dancer, you're a good actress or whatever. But, like, you can feel when people are
Being genuine.
yeah. And I mean,
yeah.
this really super affected her life, as it did mine. I mean, it was to the point where you just don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he got, what did he get?
23 years.
And
It's
that's
not enough.
No, well, he got that in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. I can't believe I'm actually forgetting this number. I feel like here it was, is it 16? We could look it up, but of course that's everywhere. But then that one's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're retrying him, the New York one, they're retrying him. But the whole point is, to me, I'm like, no offense, guys, just send him here. Let him do, like, he has, years here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because now what you're doing is you're re-traumatizing the women again.
Why is there even an appeal? I don't understand how
it
you
was
can
based
even.
on-
Sorry, I'm speaking like
No, it's okay. It's based on
I don't
the
know
prior,
the law, but
you're not allowed to bring in prior bad acts that he was not tried and convicted on. So, like, when one of the women spoke in New York and said that he had raped her, and we all know this to be true, but because she did not go to court herself and he was found guilty for raping her, you can't use that testimony. And therefore, it got kicked out. So they were very careful at this LA one to do that and to not do that, because, in fact, I thought I was going to be doing that. And then I only found out, like, close to when I had to speak, that I was there to corroborate the story of Jen and what had transpired.
Mm-hmm.
I was not there to be prior bad acts, because you're now not allowed to do that. But, imagine. It's really bothersome, and I understand the reasoning. It makes sense to me. However, at what point? I mean, you have a serial killer, and he raped this woman, and he abused it, and he broke into and are all these people? We will just jam pack the court system if you're telling me that this woman who was raped by him and now he raped and killed a woman, you can't bring her in. I mean, the prior bad acts is really a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And now they're doing this kind of like all over again.
Yep, in New York.
Do
next
all
month.
all the New York women who were part of the
No,
first?
some of them are out.
Yeah.
And some of them are in. Yeah.
What do you think the outcome's going to be of that?
That's a great question. Ooh. I don't know. It's funny because, like I said initially, I was raised to be positive, but it's my mother had.
Oh my God, that you're still positive about anything is
it's-
like a
it's-
wonder
No,
anyway.
It's
yeah.
really hard for me because
Court
I will
system.
say, yeah, we were shocked when he got any years the first time. And elated, like, but that did send a huge message to predators and change the trajectory of the way most businesses do their business. And it shined a huge light on, if it can happen to him, you know, it can happen to someone else.
Yeah.
Because he had all the money in the world and it still didn't work. And that's what we also need to say. You know, it's like so basic. If you're a bad guy or a bad gal, whatever, you know, sorry. You can't live like you normally did. You can't do the normal things. You know, this is why we have a justice system.
Yes, exactly. That's why there is a law.
Yeah. But I mean,
you're not above it just because you're freaking successful and rich.
Right.
But that's
but look
unfortunately
at Cosby. He's
that
running
is
around.
Yes,
I mean, that upsets
fact.
me. And so that's where it's really hard for me to answer that question because I like really don't know. I want to say, yeah, everyone can see through this because it seems so obvious to me.
Yeah, but
you know?
then
and
you
I mean,
get
again,
proven,
and
you get proven wrong so many times.
Well, and
it's
because
just
they
like,
don't accept some of the evidence.
Yeah.
As you know, like sometimes there's great evidence and you're not allowed to use it.
Right.
And that's, I think, also really
so stupid. Yeah.
And I mean, you know, he plays the poor me very well. You know, he shows up with his cane and the whole thing, you know. So, but, you know, I can only say people do believe him because I know, because they come for me. Like even doing this podcast, it's like I know people say something negative to me, 110%.
You're so brave to still speak your story.
Well,
even knowing that.
Thank you. Yes, it's like, you know, sometimes it's not the life you chose, you know, like I clearly would have rather been here talking about my new incredible, you know,
Oscar award, the Oscar that you just won.
Yes, or, you know.
Yeah.
Or just, you know, I'm at the point where I really enjoy, I have 2 children, 7 and 9, and, you know, that I do my best to take care of them or, you know, that I've done something, but I do feel like at least I can give them, I do feel like I've hopefully not sacrificed too much at their expense. Like that as a mom is something that I think about all the time. How did this, you know, affect me? How did this affect our family? You know, should I have just been quiet and said nothing and done nothing, you know?
Oh, no.
But I'm saying, you know, because when you see like, you know, even like talking today about, one of my children has a challenge with ADD. And, you know, when you really peel back that onion of ADD, a lot of times it comes from trauma exposure. And, you know, it's not lost on me. I think a lot about all these things just because I want to be a good mom. At the end of the day, that's like my first job. But, you know, it is really hard. And like right now I'm going through a really tough time. I mean,
I think you're an amazing role model for them for speaking up.
Well, thank you.
And not being defeated by this and saying, oh, it's easier for me to just be quiet.
Right.
Because
it is.
Absolutely. For you personally, it would have been
so
easier
much,
to just say.
It would have been so much easier. Yeah.
To just say, I don't want anything to do with this. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I have a baby here right now. I have other things to do.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, and when they're older and when they understand these stories and stuff, they're going to look up to you and say, that was strong.
I hope. Well, and listen, we all know, like, as much as we would love to give our children a life of no challenges and, you know, protect them. I mean, my kids are going to have their own challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just think to myself, like, then are they going to draw at least upon what their mother did to right any wrongs, or just, you know, speaking up is okay.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the right thing to do. And sticking up for people, your friends, or people who are not your friends. I mean, quite frankly, when I first came forward, it was like, I was doing it for myself and for some young girl I had just met that I heard had been raped by him recently, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
You know, she became kind of the reason why I did a lot of the things. And because I was like, you know what, if I don't do this, she didn't have the strength to do it. You know.
I admire that.
Well, thank you.
So now, right now, pivoting to the right now moment, we're faced with a total different challenge, the freaking LA fires.
Yes.
You don't live specifically in the right in the Palisades, but you live on the like outside of it.
Yeah.
That was very much affected. And you're right now a single mom.
Yeah.
The dad of the children is not, let's say, not in the picture right now, right?
He's now a little bit
there.
back in the picture. I'm really proud of him that he did do a lot of the work with AA, and he's really worked on himself. We had a very challenging time a couple years ago now, but he really has come through. So I'm I have a lot of alcoholism in I'm half Irish, so it goes with it. Yeah, but we say the jokes, but a lot of it is somewhat true. But so I come from a family of those who are in AA and those who are not, and I know it's not easy to choose that, but he did that, and I do really appreciate it. So now we are in a better space. He does see the children, and we can talk much more freely and openly, and with a lot of kindness, and I think love, and especially with just accepting what he did, and that really helped. But we went through that, and then now we're kind of like, it was like, oh, we're done. The divorce is finally, like, everyone's, he's better. Like, I'm, have my job. I'm gonna keep working. Yay, 2025 is gonna be so awesome. And then, January 7th, I was getting ready to go. I to work, and I could see and I could hear these, a lot of alarms and all the, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And so I actually tried to look it up, but it was happening so in real time that there was like literally nothing there. And at first what popped up was something that happened like days previous. And it was like there was a car accident. So I was like, oh, okay. But then I could see like, and then I looked down, I'm like, oh no, that date's wrong. So I'm like looking out my window. I'm like, oh God, I can see the smoke. That's how close I am. And I'm like, I don't feel so good. And then really very quickly, my kids' school called me. They're like, please come pick up your children. Like, well, okay. So I called my work. I'm like, I'm not coming to work today. There's been a fire. And, like, this is how we didn't know what was happening,
Oh my God, no. I was at my office and I looked down the street and I saw the flames. Oh gosh. And my colleague also said, he's like, the Palisades are burning. And I'm like, wait, what? So I went out on the street and walked around the corner and looked down 12th Street from Montana. And I'm like, that hill is on fire. But it was one of these typical LA situations. It's not the first fire we have. It's just like, oh, damn it. There are probably going to be 2 or 3 houses that are going to be damaged. Damn it. Like, I hope they get this under.
Because usually the firefighters can get to it and put it out before it becomes.
I mean, we have fires here a lot that don't they're not as a destruction that as this one was, or as the Malibu fire a few years ago was. It's like we have fires that we drive some down the road and it's like, oh, something's burning over there. And then an hour later you drive back and it's like, oh, it's out. That's kind of what my feeling was. I'm like, this is very close, closer to me than ever. But they're going to have that under control. I mean, it's like 10 a.m. or whatever.
No, I think we all thought that. I mean, and so my dad lives with me part-time and he's 83, like I mentioned. And my dad was like, Dad, we got to go. I mean, get your medicine and, maybe take one outfit. And I had like taken my, passports and my jewelry and like very little clothes. Like I had one pair of shoes. I mean, I took less, of course, as a good mother, less for myself.
All the kids stuff.
Unfortunately, but I'm also type 1 diabetic. So I took a little bit of my medicine, but like I didn't take that much. I mean, I took, again, though, too, like they were like, come pick your kid up, And so I took very little stuff and my dad didn't even take any clothes. I was like, really? But he was kind of fighting. He was like, it's going to be fine. I'm like, Dad, get in the car. Like, we got to go. And my dad, we're from Florida, like he's used to hurricanes where you kind of, I think you get a little bit more of a ramp up, And so he just didn't believe like, nope, we got to go now. Move, soldier, get in the car. So I, and I showed him, I like put him in the car and I was like, look, there's, smoke right there. But really 110%, we thought like, to your point, that we would be back like that night.
Yeah.
Or maybe the next day, I figured maybe they would cancel school the next day, but not for a month and a half. I mean, I didn't get back in for a month and a half.
Where did you go?
We went to friends in Westchester, and they lovingly
Your dad, and
put
the two
me
kids.
and
Oh,
3
and I
dogs.
just want to say you have 3 dogs.
Yes, I have 3 dogs. I used to outnumber my dogs. I just want to be clear. I'm not a crazy dog lady, but
Uh,
anyways, I used to have my ex-husband and 2 stepboys and 2 girls, and anyways,
mhm.
they're all rescues. We are a sucker for a dog, I have to say.
Oh,
But yes, can you imagine?
yeah.
It's like, the clown car.
Right?
We're all like peeling
You
out.
open the door and like, oh, there's more coming. There's more coming. Keep the door open. I'm bringing you more.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Anyways, but so listen, thank God I have some good friends. But again, I thought, okay, I'm going to be here a couple days. And like one of my friends has kids, and it's like we were using their kids' rooms for my dad because like my dad can't sleep on a couch. You know what I'm saying? And so then you're pushing people out of their room. That felt uncomfortable. And so then we moved to my other friend's house for a couple days. And then, she has an only child. And like, it's challenging for an only child. Like, totally understand. Plus, we were all so stressed. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh,
So it was like,
yes.
my kids are just, no school. Like, we're trying to just figure out even keep our head above water. The ticker tape on WhatsApp for my neighborhood was just next level. I can say here that thank God that there was some people who stayed behind in my area and really put out a lot of the spot fires, and one really big fire they helped with. And therein lies why I probably even have a place, because I don't think it would be there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we're that close that we are lucky, but it's still then, you say lucky, but then it's just like not only the emotional drain, but then now monetarily for me as a single mom, I mean, I have to pay my mortgage, and I have a rental at my place, which is above where I live with my kids. And that's been empty since the day of the fire. I mean, I had a renter there on the day of the fire. And like, it was funny. That guy wanted to stay. He's like, oh, I've been here so many times. It's going to be fine. I'm like, could you get out?
Yeah.
Could you?
How long was it until you were able to go back to your house?
About a month and a half. Like, yeah,
Oh my
solid
gosh,
month
so you
and a
had
half.
no clothes.
No, so then like, I
nothing.
mean, like these shoes
Medicine.
somebody gave me, this shirt somebody gave me, I was very excited about these shoes.
Mhm.
Those
They're
very
super
nice.
cute.
They're very
cute
cool.
sneakers. But no, I mean, I literally had nothing. Like I had no underwear. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that, and I
Mhm.
had no face cream. Like it was funny,
Yeah.
the things that were like,
Mm-hmm.
so, and friends, it happened so fast, and like, it is great. Like so many people were gathering stuff, but I realized like we were so sad and so drained that it was hard to even go to a place to get
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think if I was to ever help other people, and I actually am still doing that, where like I pick stuff up for people
Yeah.
and then bring it to them.
That
And
makes
granted,
sense.
we're now like a little time after, but it's still, I understand, especially when it first happened, it was just, people are like, oh, you could go get some Paige jeans. I'm like, well, that'd be great, but I have 2 kids, 3 dogs, a grandpa. I'm staying at somebody's house. It's like unnerving anyway, because you don't want to like mess it up or just,
Yeah, you
Mhm.
can't
just-
really be like, can you watch my kids
Yeah.
and the dogs and make sure my dad's okay while I'm going to go
get some fancy
Yeah.
jeans. Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
exactly.
Doesn't
It
really
just-
work that
no.
way. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should do better next time we have drives and things of
Yeah,
actually
because-
going
yeah.
the next step of that and dropping it off.
People wanted to do things,
Yeah.
but it would be better to be like, hey, here's a family, she's medium, the kids are, size 5 and 7, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then therein lies, put some bags together,
Mhm.
drop it off. And then if
That
you
would
don't
be-
use things, you can pass it on. It's like I did do that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, no. And then to bring up the positive, at least, was I wrote this musical about taking down Harvey Weinstein, and we already had planned a week of that rehearsal in New York City.
Oh.
And so, and it's a presentation, whatever, but it was just 1 week, and I was going to take my kids because they've never even seen anything. Because when I wrote it was like before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then, I mean, we all know, and then there was not enough butts in the seats in theater to
Right.
merit like doing anything. So my producers were like, no, we're going to hold. And I understand that. So they did. And so this was like the first time I was going to, let my kids kind of see a little bit of what mom did to take a crappy situation and make it a positive, and to make a change by, using art. But like, imagine we had no clothes to get to New York.
Yeah.
No. And I had just for Christmas, because I knew we were doing this, bought the snowshoe, bought the jacket that they would need,
Yeah.
and that was their Christmas gift was mommy's taking
no.
you here. Like, this is, because
Big
it's
deal.
challenging for me to survive in Los Angeles. I know we all know whether you have a lot of money or not, this place is so expensive. It's
Yeah.
just,
And you by yourself with 2 children is just a challenge in of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I drop them off every morning.
Yeah.
If I'm sick, I don't get a pass.
Oh, no.
And as you know me, and we work together. It's like I work I'm always doing something because I must make a good income to survive. But this really kicked me in the teeth. Because I lost the income from the rental, which is a huge challenge for me. Then I was told, hey, if you don't pay your own remediation, because my house did not burn down, that you're going to probably get kicked out of having fire insurance if you don't do that. And
remediation is so expensive.
It is. But so I got like a cheaper amount, if you will, expense because I was personally paying. But yes, still a huge ticket item.
Yeah.
And so then I'm just stuck. Like right now, I got to be honest, like it's probably the most challenging I've felt in a long time, just about like, how do I survive?
Yeah.
How do my children and I survive?
Are you currently living back at the house?
Yeah. So we're now back. But it has its own challenges, from like the school being 1/3 full. To my kids losing a lot of their friends. They're so sad about it too. Everybody has a judgment on whether we should be there or not because of, this ash and that ash and whatever.
The air quality and the water quality.
Yeah.
But like, your whole life is upside down. Like, I'm sure the markets and grocery stores that you used to go to and the restaurants. And
gone.
All of that.
Gone. I know my dad was very upset that grocery store in Palisades was gone.
Yeah.
He loves his favorite. But you're to your point, and even like today I was supposed to have somebody look at my rental, and the woman said the reason, she thinks that they don't want it is because there's nowhere to go nearby. Now, granted, like Santa Monica is very close. But So I do think there's going to be an influx of everyone going there, which I can attest to that myself as a parent with little kids. You got to go do something. And I love Santa Monica, like happy to hold it up. But it has just been next level, like survival. Yeah. And then even like I don't have good Wi-Fi in my house. I wasn't getting internet. Like the water was bad. We weren't allowed to take a shower. We were told you can take a tepid shower. And then they just last week said we could use the water, just last week. And then yesterday when it rained, I saw you can't use the water because I guess the rain.
The rain, exactly. The rain is washing down everything into the ocean, which means the beaches are closed. The beaches are completely full of toxins. The ocean is full of toxins.
Yes,
the soil around the houses is affected again because the rain is washing all these toxins down the hill up to in your backyard.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, one of my good friends, she skipped out on the fire, but then got totally demolished by the mud.
Yeah.
And I mean mud up to your waist.
Yeah.
It came down because she lives a little bit lower and then came all the way down into her place. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to make decisions, right? Like, you have to be, as a parent, my job is to do the best for my children. So that's why I really was like, well, hell's bells, maybe I need to move.
Yeah, Florida. Like you were saying, you're like,
maybe I got to go to Florida. I don't know where to even go. Like I literally didn't know what to do because also my job is very challenged, So I have to say kind of almost right now, as of today, don't know exactly what to do. I mean, I really don't. I'm somewhat like, again, that positive person who believes like in miracles, I do believe like there's a way that I can figure it out, but I need more income. I need a renter. I'm praying that whatever is in the air is not going to kill us because quite frankly, after talking to a lot of my family members who are doctors themselves, I mean, when we really broke it down, it was like, look, air is going to move where you live because we're by the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, quite frankly, maybe deeper in is going to be more affected. Or, as my aunt said, she lives in New Jersey, and she was like, I looked at the AQI today, and my place is worse than yours.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh, gosh. And she is a lung specialist and a nurse, and she took care of people after post 9/11. And she really did help me a lot because I really was, oh my God, I don't want to harm my children. I don't want a long lasting challenge for my children. And after talking to her, and we watched everything for a week, when we were kind of allowed to go back in. And I waited a while. Again, I stayed in Westchester and was just taking my kids in and out of school. And I waited. They didn't go immediately to school. That was a whole kerfuffle. But I did it. I felt like I took the time, and then when we looked at the research, and I listened to her predominantly because I knew she had my best interest. You know, she even said, look, growing up as kids, we had asbestos, open walls. You know, her dad was a builder. You know, it's
parents were smoking in the car.
Oh yeah, drinking. Remember the tumbler full of alcohol in the front? No seatbelts.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not to say it's just but look. You know, her point to me was, it's also going to be really challenging for your children to move. And plus, I don't know, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I do really, I don't like this whole feeling that, oh, the Palisades, they're just so wealthy, they don't need anything. That's not true.
No.
You know, yes, there's wealthy people everywhere. Let's be honest. But a lot of these people, sometimes it's passed down generationally, or, I mean, and I work my tail off to survive and rent out half my house. I mean, these are the way people survive, and they do what they have to do. So I don't think that anyone deserves less empathy because it's so upsetting. And so it's just so sad. But the school is, at least, today I went, and we have to raise a lot of money because a lot of kids are gone. So if we don't raise the money this year, the money you raise this year goes to next year. So it's I'm sorry, but I want an art teacher there. It's a public school. I want the art teacher. I want the music teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are the kinds of new challenges, that we get to live with. And, just the sadness for my children having to really kind of make new friends because their friends were gone. Either they moved to Arizona or, anywhere else than this. Or a lot of them too, I feel went a little upstate. California, but then, or just move schools to one that's nearby.
Yeah.
I mean, even for the parent, in their mind, that was still better than our school because we were even closer to the fires, just blocks by blocks.
That's what I keep saying when people especially my family and friends from Germany are asking me how the situation is and how people are dealing with it and everything. And I don't want to make you more upset or sadder than you already are about this, but that's what I keep saying. It's not just about somebody's losing their house or somebody is out of their house for a while or it's maybe full of toxins. It's the life you're losing. It's your friends that are not there anymore that used to live down the street or maybe next door. It's your hobbies. The swim team doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
The stable where you had where you went to ride that pony once a week is not there anymore. It's everything. I mean, my best friend Taryn lives right next door to me, and I'm very good friends with 2 other moms in our building. If that would all burn down, I would lose that too. That's a part of it. I mean, we're not going to find a
That's
street.
Our little tribe.
Yes, and you're not going to find a street again where they all move in together.
No, we're very displaced. Very.
Like the actress Mandy Moore, who lived in Altadena. She's her brother-in-law lived next door. Her grandparents, like in-laws, lived one house down.
I know them. It's funny. I know her parents-in-law. They used to live in Malibu. They were in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice people.
Yeah.
Very nice people. But and
yeah,
it's so for example, they went from Malibu to another place that burned.
And they had this little community on the street and they were raising their kids together. And her brother-in-law, it's the wife was pregnant and was about to give birth a month later, or maybe probably now or something. And, you have your community set up there and that's all gone.
Yes.
Again, they're not going to find a street where they're all going to live next to each other and can support each other like they did. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, poor Mandy Moore, because now people are going to say again, like, well, she has enough money to whatever. It's not about the money. It's like the emotional things that happened there. And I feel like if you're not really close by or not affected by it right now, for a lot of people, feels like it's over. Oh, it's good. We're good. It's over.
You know, people tell me, I'm so tired of talking about that. No, that's so hard for me when they say it to me because, like, of course, you know, especially it's usually a client.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, I'm glad you're done talking about it. But
right.
It's a real problem.
It's like, it's my life, but I cannot say I'm tired of talking about it because it affects me every day. And in my real estate work, I have, of course, clients who were affected by it, who lost everything, who are looking for rentals that are not out there because we don't have enough, who are even looking to buy, but still, even if they have the money to buy a new house in Santa Monica, like, that's not their life. Like, they're in a different neighborhood with different friends, with a different school, with children who are upset and traumatized and everything. It's like...
Yes. And also, too, like, you know, there should be no shame in doing well. You know, I mean, if you did well, good for you. I mean, I think, you know, that's funny. It's an interesting thing that I learned at one point in my life because I came out here from Florida. It's like, you know, my parents did all right, but, you know, it's like, whatever. We did well, but out here, there is extreme wealth, as you know. But I would remember, like, going to places and thinking, and I was much younger, like, why them? Like, why did they get these things and I didn't? And and I'm feeling like kind of, I don't know, pissy about it, right? And it took a lot of work on myself, and I did do the work. But once I really could embrace and be absolutely happy for other people and their wins, I have to tell you, like, the wins came to me so much more.
Oh, and your life is so much better too because they don't feel that you're feeling mad about them. Exactly. You're the only person who feels that in your gut. You're like freaking mad. You're jealous. All these
so
things.
Ugly. Yeah,
it's like drink. Like, what do they say? I think in AA or what, like drinking the poison and thinking somebody else is going to get affected by it or something. That's what it is. I mean, the rich person who's sitting there and you are mad at, they don't feel your madness.
Yeah,
you're the one sitting in your car looking at that house being miserable.
Exactly. It's so like, I mean, for all the haters for the Palisade, you know, it's like that's on you. But I agree. And now too, I feel like because we were so much, the first month was like I mean, I didn't know. I'm not even kidding. It was almost a week that I didn't know if I would have a house.
Yeah,
I did wake up of people one
didn't
night.
Know. Yeah,
the night that it happened, I watched one of my neighbors on her Zoom. Her whole house went down. That was so upsetting. And that was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I can't watch anymore. I was so upset. And I just had to turn my phone off. And when I woke up that morning, I couldn't see my cameras at my house. And I thought, it's gone.
Panic.
I thought for sure it was gone.
Yeah.
Then, you know, days later, people were like, oh, wait, you know, we saw these houses on the street. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Really? Or did you see, you know? And even like Jen Siebel Newsom was traveling. I was like, here's where I live. Can you just like take a look? Do you mind? Oh, she was very kind, actually. She came and gave me a hug and spoke to me for a little bit. And you know, I don't care what your politics are. It means nothing to me. It means something to me when you just have friends who take the time to see you. So that really was nice. And she was so kind about it and did help me. Actually, I was trying to get my damn diabetes medicine. You know, it's like, it was so challenging. Like, even CVS wouldn't, if I asked my doctor, like, obviously all the medicine's there at my house. Like, I mean, I took some, but I didn't know it was gone for this long. And they wouldn't give it back. And I wear these meters and you have to change them every 3 days. So one of the neighbors, like, I told him how to get into my house, went in, here's where the medicine is. He got it and then like had to scoot out. Like, it was a whole thing. And then I met him to pick up I mean, I didn't even know these two guys. And then, you know, met him at a diner, like, to pick up.
Oh my God. Like
a diabetes meds.
Drug deal
like
delivery.
A drug deal. Yeah. Except like nothing good.
Yeah, right. Nothing fun.
No, I mean, that's what I was mad about too, is like, this is not a class A drug or whatever class. I don't even know what they call it, but it's like, you know, it's insulin in little meters that I stick on myself so that I know what my number is. So I don't know that I don't die in the middle of the night because I'm dropping.
Especially as a single mom. I mean, you need that peace of mind.
Oh yeah. And I mean, my numbers were all over the place because I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
Which was like a norm, and I knew that. But it's like to just even make that challenging, because we tried to get in a couple times to just, I'm like, can I just, like, here's my meter. Look, it's on my arm. Like, I just want to get that. Like, I'm not here to, but you know why? The flippin' looters. And I lost a lot of jewelry too. Neighbors, people just went in and stole. Like, and that
That's so effed
on
up.
top of it is like, I mean, my engagement as of now, like, we have not found them. So I do feel like somebody stole them. My engagement, all these things. Because like I had to get out so fast.
And that's when they said at some point, we're not letting anybody in.
Yes. And then
even if you have an ID with the address on it, they were like, no.
Nope. No. Yeah. But I mean, and listen, I understand the concept. I really do. But you know, then there could have been easier ways out, like with CVS. Well, I don't know. Just give her more medicine. Like, and because you know what they said? No, we see you got it. It was supposed to arrive on Tuesday.
Right.
The day of the fires. I was like, well, yeah. Hey, newsflash.
Oh my
There's
God.
the Palisades fire.
Right?
I live there next to it.
Yeah.
Maybe that is why I didn't get the medicine.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe y'all should just like stop being so, dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Oh my God.
But I mean, imagine all these people. And I think to myself too, like my dad, thank God I told him to take his medicine.
Yeah.
So he had it. But it's like, older people who don't have the help.
Yeah.
I mean, thrust into, a home now, lost their home, all the things. And, I have to say, though, one cool thing was like our neighborhood really did band together a lot. And it was very evident, and we've now done a lot of classes with the fire brigade, they're called, that neighborhoods, like, truthfully, neighborhoods are there's going to burn. There is no way for just normal firemen, with the amount of people that they have, time they have, to put out fires when you have this kind of cataclysmic moment of fire meets horrible winds.
Santa Ana winds.
Yeah, it's just not.
And 8 months of no rain.
Yes. And I mean, there's so many things, and I don't need to like have anyone get mad at me that I'm speaking up about it. But it's just at the end of it all, what I realized was, oh my God, no, they'd say to you, I mean, we did a class on it already. Everyone really needs, like, we need X amount of people to like be able to stay back or to help, because it's not going to just happen just with firemen. Like, this is what we've realized in our research post Malibu fires. This is what they've realized. And listen, a lot of the men I know in the Malibu area that I work with, they're part of it. And it's, it's a challenging job though, because if your house is on fire and you're a part of the brigade, but you're sent to a different area, it's about being of service. It is not about just taking care of your own.
You can't stay back and take
I
care
mean,
of your
you
own.
can't. I mean, some people do, but then that's what they were saying. Like they're like, this is not about just taking care of your own space. This is about surviving, the community's surviving, or as much as you can, and putting out the spot fires. That's kind of that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
which is huge, because as you know, I mean, we had one and it went down the creek, and then it was like, oh my God. I mean, thank God we had people there.
I just wanted to ask what's next, but you already said you don't really know what's next. What's with the musical, though?
Yeah, I want to hear about the musical.
Would you like to talk about something positive?
Yeah. Exactly. Let's end on a positive note.
I agree, because like I'm saying, I'm trying to stay positive. I met Tom Ferry yesterday, and he was so nice to me. He's a motivational speaker, and he asked me, how are you doing? I said, I'm not doing that great. And I said, I feel like I need to just be honest about that. Like, I can't always like be up with people, like sometimes I think it's good though. So to this point, it's like, I think it's okay to talk about our challenging times.
Oh, I'm the biggest supporter of saying not good.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? It's like, really, how do we come through it? Much like your podcast is all about. So the next step is that we're supposed to do a next presentation with choreography and with like doing the whole thing for 2 weeks, hopefully in August. We're raising more money for that. So each time we do it, and it's not cheap. Like, I've helped raise money for it. I have a big Tony Award-winning producer who helps that I wrote with. Diane Warren wrote the music. Howard Kagan and I wrote the book, which musicals are called a book. And then the music was written by Diane, but then both Howard and I helped with the lyrics because, as many who know her probably know, she writes amazing, hit songs, but they're not elongated out in a storytelling manner for a musical that would fit within the musical. And sometimes, honestly, her music, like the song just completely fits. And then sometimes we just have to finagle it a little and, of course, change some words to fit the story. And she wrote such beautiful music for our show. The last song, though, which she wrote the last song first, is called You Fucked With the Wrong Girl.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Can I be in this musical and sing that song, please?
You fucked with the wrong girl.
Oh my God.
I remember the day she played. I mean, literally, this was very in the beginning of doing this process. I will tell you, we interviewed 25 women for this show. And so the characters are an amalgamation, all the lead women in the show and the lead bad guy, if you will. It is not Weinstein. It's an amalgamation. So we interviewed women who had experiences with R. Kelly, obviously with Weinstein, Russell Simmons, and the list goes on as we all know. But it was, and Cosby, actually. So we use little bits, okay, of their stories. And what I do love about my show is that with the success of my show is their success, because we are giving each of those women a percentage of the show, which is nothing I had to do, because a lot of their stories were public domain. So, and quite frankly, having gone through it my dang self, I could just talk about the years of, I can make it up myself. And I didn't have to do any research for this show. I wrote it all from my mind and my heart. But then listening to their stories. And so we did, even some of when they spoke, we used like actually blocks of exactly what they said. And as monologues, when you see the show, you'll see that. But these women will make some money on my show. And the show is called The Right Girl. And, we again, like I said, I've been working on it since quickly after I realized, like, I better get my shit together emotionally and find a positive out of this super negative. I had reached out to Howard Kagan, actually was one of the people who was trying to buy the Weinstein Company, and which is interesting. And so what I liked about him is he asked me, if I can raise the funds to buy this, I'd like to know, like, we'd like to do something for the women who he harmed. Now, the people who won it was Lantern. They never asked me any of that, never got anything, nothing. But I did appreciate that Howard at least asked, and he didn't win it, but I knew he was a Broadway producer. So when I had the idea, like, of taking these women's stories and creating a show, at first I thought I'd do a play, but when I met with him, he said, no, why don't we do a musical? I'm like, well, hell, I like that more. He owned a music company. That's much more in my DNA. Totally. And then I said to him about a month later, I said, who would be great for this show is Diane Warren. And he's, weeks later, I'm at a women's conference, and they held up all the women who helped take down Harvey Weinstein. It was The Wrap, did this big women's conference. And after we stood up, behind us was Diane Warren singing her song.
Oh
and
my gosh.
So I was like, oh my God, this is like too kismet. And I mean, you have to imagine, like, I have moved different careers, and like I'm so not in the business anymore, but I was just like, oh, just go do it.
Right?
I'm talking to myself. So
giving yourself a pep talk.
Yeah, pepping my own self up. And she got down off the stage, and he just like comes around, and I'm like, I just like hit her full force. I was like, hi, I'm Louisette, guys. I've worked all these. I'm helping take down Weinstein. And I just said to my producer the other day that you would be perfect for this show, and she's like, I like the idea. Here's my cell number. And I
Oh
remember,
my gosh.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I remember the next day I called her. I was like, okay, I'd like to set up a meeting with you. And she was like, whoa, you called. I'm like, hell yeah, I called. She's so funny and fierce and just a dynamic person. And one of the men who works with her is like her right-hand guy. His name is Michael. And he's really shepherded this project as well. Because she'll tell you right to your face, like, I'm very ADD. I don't want to like focus on this, he's going to help. And he really loves this project. And he's such a special human, and he's really helped us with the music and bring it all to fruition. But it has taken years and years and years. But I do feel like, now is a great time. It's a topical subject, unfortunately, still. And, it's really about changing our perspective. We show different ways, from a woman who's just starting to a woman who's been in the business, to a woman who got out of the business and got into real estate, funny enough. So we show their trajectory and how they processed the trauma and how they then took this bad guy down. But we, not as a spoiler alert, but we don't really say the end, like, because quite frankly, we don't know. I mean,
we
as
don't know the
evidenced
outcome.
by, and I mean, we leave you the space to make some decisions. But yes, the last song is "You Fucked with the Wrong Girl," and the music is really gorgeous. I feel like the best comment I got about the show in January, because again, we had like gone there, like I was so exhausted. You have to imagine too, like I'm kind of a little bit out of my space because I took a week off. I was going to take that week off of work anyway to just go see what they were doing. And then here I am there. I'm freezing, like borrowed clothes. All my clothes were borrowed. The ticker tape of the WhatsApp of like, you can get in today. You can't get in today. Oh, da, 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 da. So I have that all going on simultaneously, listening to my show being
Oh my God, what a weird experience.
But one of my neighbors was in New York. His daughter is my daughter's best friend. And I said, hey, they really wanted to see each other. They missed each other. And I said, if you'd like, bring her to the show. There are some bad words, and it's a subject that little kids can't handle, but you don't see any of it. So it does kind of, it really, like my daughters asked me a little bit about it, but it kind of goes over their head to a degree, which is okay. And anyways, this gentleman, the father, came, and he, at the end, he was like, oh my God, I had no expectation about this, but this is a really good show and has like 10 hits in it. And I was like, okay, see, you, I believe, because you have no skin in the game. And it was very, very cool. So, I mean, listen, we're still raising funds. So I'm still looking for producers.
So you still don't know if it's really going to happen?
I don't. I had to, every step of the way, I got to raise funds. And so my producer does as well. And that's how but we've gotten through it. But I have to say, if it has more chance than any, because we have Tony Award-winning directors, choreographers, Tony Award-winning singers in it. Alex Newell is in it. And, she, and again, I hate to say that even because it's like, once it goes, like, who knows who's available, et cetera, et cetera. But just in this presentation that we did, we had just such stunning people already at the top of their game willing to be part of this project. And so I am excited. But that said, like, anyone wants to talk to me about investing it, I'm available. It's a like anything. It's
I want to audition.
Yeah. Well, hey, I know someone.
That's why. Someone where I can send my resume.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, people always ask me too, like, are you in it? Because I used to be a singer.
Yeah.
I have a 3-octave range, but I will tell you, the dancing is like next level. I mean, I love to dance and I can follow along. I'm a great salsa dancer, but this is like, the woman who plays me in the show, I mean, she is a phenomenal ballerina. And and she sings, like, she can really belt. So it's the triple threat part that, like, sadly, I was a triple threat at one point, but I gave it up a long time ago, thanks to Weinstein. But hey, again, I want to be able to thank the world for that experience, because as hard as it was, And he's just one of the many. But he was that tipping point for me, and so many other women. But I feel like with this musical, at the very least, it gives perspective on because even the woman who's at the top of her game, who then learns what he's doing, knows full well by speaking up, she will never work. And therein lies the challenge. So there's a lot of blaming running around for the women. And again, to your point, I hate that too, because let's focus on the person who is doing the wrong, not on the person he's wronging. I mean, what in the hell?
Yeah.
Just cut it out. Enough. So, but this shows, I mean, whether you're the assistant and you got abused, or you're at the top of the food chain and you maybe didn't pay attention, or you just thought, oh, maybe he's doing this, but you don't take the time, to maybe even figure it out, to the person who got out. But I think it speaks to probably a lot of women, but a lot of men as well.
Yeah. I think it would give so many people an inside voice on like the victims and the trauma and the decisions they have to make about whether or not they should come forward, the things they have to weigh before they make that decision. It's so important.
Yeah. I mean, and you could probably do unfortunately 5 shows on the same subject because, there's so many intricacies. And that's why I was saying, actually, a friend of mine wanted me to do a podcast about just the Weinstein case, because there really is so much. And I think it is so amazing how much was ignored.
Yes.
Or that you couldn't
for
use.
So long.
And it's, listen, I don't want to talk about him either, but I do feel like from a learning perspective, and, as evidenced by the new guys coming out, that we're all after. I mean, my God, who thought anyone could make Weinstein look like he was less horrible?
There comes Pt.2.
I know. It's just, holy cripe.
Unbelievable. The years and years and years this has been going on
in this world.
Calling all good men. Calling all good men.
Calling all good men. Yep. Hello.
Yeah.
They are out there.
Oh, no,
they just need to be louder.
They're definitely out there.
Oh, yeah.
They're definitely out there. And that's what's exciting to me is seeing, the transition for men as well of oh, holy crap. Yeah. This is really ridiculous and sucks. And by the way, we're working women. We take care of our children. There's so many things on us. That's also, it's overwhelming, but so now to at least give us a fair shake.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important. And it's important to our children too, for them to see, the respect and love of parents, whether you're together or not.
Yeah.
That's why I tell my kids all the time, they're just re-engaging as much, and I'm saying it's so important. It's good for you to see me get along with your dad, and to all love each other. It's okay. That's okay. We made you out of love, and I know that divorce is so challenging for so many people. Lord knows I did not like it at all, but I do think treating each other with respect is such a key. And so it's across the board, whether it's work or family, hopefully we can I can help make a little bit of difference in the perspective of just even one person going to see the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always how you have to start the thing. Even if one person gets something good out of it, then that's already worth it. That's what we said when we started this podcast. We're well, that's the 1 millionth podcast of podcasts, who's going to listen to us? But now all of a sudden there are some episodes where people say, wow, that I heard this story really helped me and really made me not feel so alone with my own tragic upbringing or whatever. And it's just we already did it, one person.
Yep.
It's okay, great, job's done. Yes. It's not. We're not going to stop here. And of course, you want to reach as many as possible, but that's kind of how you have to start everything.
Right.
It's if it's one, and with Harvey Weinstein too, if it's one woman that I save from him,
yes,
then all of this was already worth it. And with the musical, if it's one woman who feels hurt and empowered and whatever with this, already worth it.
Absolutely. Or even one woman who goes and like feels like, wow, or man.
Yeah, oh man.
I have not done right by, what I'm seeing, and makes the decision to pull, a trigger to out the wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a huge thing, and that's why, it's important that I'm never telling people what to do, because has nothing to do with me. Like, everyone is in charge of their own self. But I do feel like, look, I initially got into the arts because I wanted to make a difference. It wasn't really just about, granted, if you're good, money and fame happens. But that, I hate to say it, that's like the least exciting part, the fame. Don't get me wrong. I like money. I like to survive and be healthy and happy and wonderful. I'm not going to say that. But it's just, no, it was about, again, exciting people and inciting them to make a change or to do something different, because we've all had those movies that we've watched that have done that for us. Myself included. So I feel like if I could give that back. So it's a very circuitous route that I've taken
I know.
to be in the arts again.
I know.
But, better late than never.
Exactly.
And B, I have another career that I do. I love my other career. It provides me with money for myself and my children, and just, I hate to say it, but health insurance is such a key component. And I used to be a foster mom, which is a whole other conversation, but I got into working for corporations specifically for her, because I was like, I can't, as an independent, as we all know, it used to be so hard to get insurance. Like, if you ever went to the doctor one time, they're like, no, you have pre-existing. No. So, I stepped into that space because I do feel like love of family and love of children and is really paramount to me above all else.
Yeah.
And that's why I do celebrate every time we do anything with my musical. But I have to say, like, it's as close as it's going to get now to the next step of the next stage is people coming to see it, theaters coming to see it, and choosing like where it would go next for like an off-Broadway run. And then the goal is always Broadway. And again, like, my producers from Broadway, there's no way that's not the goal.
Yeah. And we wish you all the Tonys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all
I
the
hope
Tonys.
Next time we talk to you, your show's on Broadway.
We can talk about just the Tony.
Yeah, you're coming back from the Tony Awards.
Yes. That's the goal.
So incredible.
I know. I hope so too. From, maybe if we keep talking about it,
you didn't have to get assaulted by anybody.
I did my own thing. Yeah.
Let's not get assaulted on the way.
I know, exactly. What a novel concept.
Right? Oh my God. Just no assaulting. How about that?
Yeah.
Just for once.
No harassment on my way to just do a job.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you, seriously, we wish you all the best somebody can wish you. And thank you so much for like opening up.
Oh, thank you.
And reliving all I know we've talked about a lot of negative things with Weinstein and the fires and everything. I hope you can just brush that off for the rest of your day and don't bring it
I think,
with you too much.
Like you said, making a change for other people, sometimes you have to delve into the pain,
Yeah.
And, as I said, there's some things I've come out and like made a positive change, but then there's sometimes you just don't know. And that's, we'll see, to be continued, I guess.
To be continued.
We could do the ...
Exactly. To be continued, listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
All right, you guys, that's the end of Louisette's story. I think we need to go to New York and see her musical when it comes out.
I cannot wait to see that musical. That sounds so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the songs in it and everything. You should really be in it, is what I think.
Yeah, beside the fact that I was like, I want to audition. I think I'm past that. I think I'm too old for that.
Never,
no.
Sarah.
I think that ship has sailed in my life.
This is the name of our podcast. You can't do that. Yes, you can.
Oh, right. We'll see. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on Sarah's Broadway debut. And Any final thoughts on Louisette that you want to share?
I just hope that everything's gonna turn out to be good for her, because I feel like she's been through so much over the last years, and especially now too with the fires and
Yeah.
the job situation and everything. And she was even thinking of, why should I not just like pack everything up and go back to Florida? And I don't know if I can do this
It's true.
anymore. And like being on her own, and it's just, it's a lot.
It's so
And
much.
she's so sweet.
She also is such a fighter. I feel like
Yes.
if anyone can summit this mountain of difficulty that she's in, I feel like she can do it.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yes, we're rooting for you, Louisette.
Yeah, I'm rooting for her. That's like the last words, really. I'm rooting for her. We're rooting
Yeah.
for her.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye.